So welcome back everybody to our Trust 101 series. This is video 4 of module 2 of our Trust 101 series. In this particular video, we're going to talk about how do I get access to some of these trust assets. In our previous videos in this particular module, we talked about how do I become a trustee, who do I notify, what do I do now, and now that we've done those things, how do we start collecting these assets? So first of all, in collecting assets, it's important to recognize the different types of assets. In this video, we're going to talk about real property a little bit. We'll talk about bank accounts, and we'll talk about personal property. Real property is obviously real estate, residential real estate, investment real estate. Personal property is going to be your household furnishings, cars, anything tangible and loose items. And then bank accounts, we'll just kind of combine that with bank and investment accounts, and we'll go over that as well. So in this video, you start with the Affidavit of Successor Trustee that we talked about in How Do I Become a Trustee? And that becomes kind of your legal marching orders with each of these things. Now we do different things with that, but that's really critical. So if you don't know what an Affidavit of Successor Trustee is, you need to go back and watch my first video in this module. But with real property, there is a chain of title, and deeds make that chain of title. And if you think about the links in a chain, each person who owns that property is a link in the chain. And so if an asset is in the trust, then that means that the trustee or the prior trustee to the trust is on title. They're on the deed to the real property. So if I read a deed, it would say Joe Smith, trustee of the Joe Smith Trust, and that's on title for this real property. So what we need to do is we need to make the next link in the chain of title to you as the trustee of the trust. In order to do that, we take the Affidavit of Successor Trustee, which is your legal marching orders that we've already created, and we record it with the county recorder's office with a legal description for that property or any other properties. And that document, by recording it, actually perfects and moves the chain of title from Joe Smith as trustee of the trust to you as trustee of the trust. And now you're holding title to that real property in the trust. Okay, so linking up that chain of title is really critical because sometimes people want to list a property for sale. Sometimes they want to deal with tenants because there's a lease in place. And you personally, or you as trustee of the trust, really can't do much of anything with that property until you're on title and you're the vested owner on title of that property. So once you record the Affidavit of Successor Trustee in the county recorder's office with that legal description, then you've got the legal authority, you're wearing the hat, of trustee, and you can enter into listing agreements with a realtor to sell the property. You can enter into leases with the tenants, or you can deal with the tenants. And so this is often a step that trustees miss when they don't have legal counsel, is they're trying to list the property for sale and the broker's telling them you can't do it, or maybe they've even listed it for sale and they're trying to sell it and the title company says, wait a second, you're not the owner. So that link of the Affidavit of Successor Trustee being recorded against the property is a critical link to get access and control of a piece of real property as the trustee of the trust. The second type of asset we talked about was bank accounts and investment accounts. And bank accounts and investment accounts don't have deeds, but they do have account statements, and they have records with the financial institution that say that the prior trustee is the owner. And so what you have to do is you have to go to that bank or go to that financial institution, and if there's an account there and it says Joe Smith, trustee of the trust, the Joe Smith Trust, then you give that bank or the financial institution, you say, hey, here's my Affidavit of Successor Trustee, and here's my letter from the IRS with my new tax ID number, right? Because we don't want a tax ID number associated with a trust as my social security number or your social security number. That's not appropriate because that would be commingling trust assets, and we have a duty not to commingle trust assets. We are supposed to keep them separate. One of the ways we do that is we obtain a brand new separate tax ID from the IRS for the trust, for you wearing the trustee hat of the trust. So you go to the bank or the investment company and you hand them the Affidavit of Successor Trustee, and your tax ID letter that says the tax ID for the trust. And then they will open a new account. They will not change the existing account typically. They'll open a new account in your name as trustee of the trust with the new tax ID number, and they will roll over the funds or the assets to the new account. When that happens, now there's an account with your name as the trustee and the tax ID, and you have access to those funds. So it's pretty straightforward. The third type of asset is personal property that doesn't have a deed or an account statement or a pink slip, and that's just like, couches and furnishings and so forth that you might find in somebody's home. And in that situation, there really isn't much of any kind of formality other than you're the trustee of the trust and those things belong to the trust, and so therefore, by literally taking custody or possession of them, you're the trustee and you've got them. So it's pretty straightforward. I mentioned in the last video, and I'll mention it again here, that one thing you need to watch out for as a trustee is it's possible for a grantor of a trust to write in a specific gift of an item of personal property, maybe something sentimental like a clock or a watch or jewelry, or some item of furniture in the house. And it's possible for them to say that that item is supposed to go to a certain person. And they can do that actually in their will, or they can do it in a document called a personal property memorandum. If they follow the proper procedures to do that, they can list low value things less than $5,000 to go to a certain person. So you want to watch out and make sure that you're not missing that as you're doing your trust administration and missing out on those gifts going out to the right people. If you're unfamiliar with personal property memorandums and you want to learn more about it, there's a video and there's a software that we created on our website that allows you to make your very own personal property memorandum, totally free. Do it on your own time, access 24 hours a day at lawvex.com/ppm for personal property memorandum. And that explains all the details of how one works, what you need to do in order to have one. And even if you're the trustee of a trust and you don't want to make a personal property memorandum, but you'd like to learn more about them, I encourage you to go to that webpage on our site and check it out, because there's a full video explaining personal property memorandums there for you. So hopefully this video was helpful in looking at how do I get access to real property by recording that Affidavit of Successor Trustee. How do I get access to bank and investment accounts by providing the Affidavit of Successor Trustee and a tax ID to the bank or financial institution, and taking custody of that personal property, subject of course to distributions and a personal property memorandum. We're going to talk more about other types of assets, specifically assets that are not titled in the trust. How do we get them? That'll be coming up in our third module. We got more videos coming your way with really helpful information, and hopefully you're enjoying this series. Thanks for watching it, and we look forward to doing some more for you.